The headlines. The 13th Australia Solomon Islands Business Forum concluded in Honiara today. Solomon Islands would like to see a more sovereign body emerge from the review of the regional architecture. And Miss Solomon Islands 2024 to 2025, Elsie Polisavai is now preparing towards the 2025 Miss Pacific Islands pageant. Hello, you're watching SIBC's TV News Bulletin. I'm Andrea Maahanwa. The 13th Australia Solomon Islands Business Forum concluded in Honiara today. The event is poised to be a landmark event for business leaders from Australia and the Solomon Islands. Sharon Anau attended the event and filed this story.
The 13th Australia Solomon Islands Business Forum concluded in Honiara today. Held under the theme Business Leading Employment and Export Growth, the event allows the private sector in both countries to engage directly with each other and work on ways to improve trade relations. In his remarks at the forum's opening, Prime Minister Jeremiah Manele says his government supports the forum as it is focused on growing the Solomon Islands economy. He says the private sector's role in the country's economy cannot be undermined.
The strategy of the government for national unity and transformation is focused on transforming the Solomon Islands into a resilient and diversified economy that can provide prosperity and opportunities for all our citizens. This vision is underpinned by our dedication to reducing poverty, improving living standards, and creating an environment where businesses can thrive. The private sector is at the heart of this transformation. Your efforts in driving innovation, creating jobs, and generating revenue are critical to our nation's future. We see this forum as an essential platform for dialogue where we can align our shared goals and chart a path forward together.
Meanwhile, Justin Mohammed, Australia Ambassador for First Nations people, in his remarks says Australia is proud to support economic development in Solomon Islands.
In this spirit, Australia is proud of its status as a Solomon Islands #1 economic and development partner. Since 2019, Australia has provided over 4.5 billion Solomon Island dollars in development assistance. In 2023, exports from Solomon Islands to Australia more than doubled, and two-way trade increased by 453.4 million Solomon dollars. Australia is also Solomon Islands' largest source of tourists. 45% of us from Australia come here and make up your tourism here in the Solomon Islands. And from my brief time here, only 24 hours, as I look out from my beautiful hotel room across that ocean, I can see why it's such a destination for many Australians to come here. And for over 20 years, Solomon Islands have been able to export all goods to Australia free of tariffs and quotas. This incredible access to our markets has been locked in for the Solomon Islands under the PACER Plus trade agreement, helping to drive employment and supporting business in the country. Excluding round logs, Australia is the largest export destination for Solomon Islands. But we're not just supporting Solomon Islands to trade with Australia, we're supporting Solomon Islands to trade with the region and the rest of the world. And that's why Australia provides 222 million Solomon dollars.
Solomon Islands Chamber of Commerce and Industry Chair Naomi Kaluai says the private sector is the lifeline of the Solomon Islands economy and society.
Today's theme, Business Leading Employment and Export Growth, is not just a topic for discussion. It is a vision for the future that both our nations are committed to realizing. This forum represents a significant opportunity for us to explore the synergies between our two countries, but also taking learnings to date and redirecting efforts that will truly translate to socio-economic development in Solomon Islands.
Sharon Anau, SIBC TV.
Still on the 13th Australia Solomon Islands Business Forum, the Solomon Islands Chamber of Commerce and Industry Chair Namoy Kaluai placed a call for action in efforts to see growth in the private sector. Sharon Anau with the details.
The Solomon Islands Chamber of Commerce and Industry Chair Naomi Kaluai, during the 13th Australia Solomon Islands Business Forum, placed a call for action in efforts to see growth in the private sector. Ms. Kaluai's call covers strengthening bilateral cooperation between Solomon Islands and Australia, focus on export growth, support innovation and SMEs, optimize the PALM scheme and invest in skills and infrastructure. She says Australia and the Solomon Islands must continue to deepen the economic and trade relations, and commitment must be made to enhance the country's export capabilities by shifting from raw resource exports to value-added products.
Strengthen bilateral cooperation. Australia and Solomon Islands must continue to deepen our economic and trade relationships. We encourage businesses and policymakers in both countries to leverage existing agreements and explore new avenues for collaboration, particularly in areas like infrastructure development, agribusiness, and tourism. We also ask our friends to consider easing visa restriction for travel and business from Solomon Islands to Australia. 2. Focus on export growth. Let us commit to enhancing our export capabilities by shifting from raw resource exports to value-added products. With Australia's ongoing support and investment, including the $25 million allocated to trade and economic integration, we have the resources to expand our global footprint and boost export growth.
She adds both the public and private sector should invest in skill development and infrastructure projects that enhance productivity and facilitate economic growth in the country.
Invest in skills and infrastructure. To continue to invest in skill development and infrastructure projects that enhance productivity and facilitate economic growth. Targeted investments in agribusiness, tourism, and manufacturing will be crucial for sustainable development. Programs like SIP providing an excellent avenue for developing our own sovereign capabilities in building and construction while delivering important infrastructure. I also call on our government to implement thresholds in procurement to protect our construction industry, which is still in its infancy, and allow it to mature. Contracts under certain value should only be open to local businesses. This is an easy policy measure that can have a long-term positive impact.
Sharon Nanal, SIBC TV.
Solomon Islands would like to see a more sovereign body emerge from the review of the regional architecture, RRA. Prime Minister Honourable Jeremiah Manele made the statement when speaking to local media on the recent Pacific Islands Forum Leaders Meeting outcomes. He says leaders in the Pacific region acknowledge the review of the regional architecture to be a sensitive one for the region.
On the review of the regional architecture, leaders acknowledged that the review of the regional architecture, PRA, was always going to be a sensitive exercise. Leaders noted that Phase 1 of the RRA has been completed. Phase 2 will be completed soon. The focus and timing of Phase 3 will be informed by the conclusions and recommendations of Phases 1 and 2. We anticipate Phase 3 to commence not too long after the forum meeting in Tonga. Leaders also affirmed that underpinning the regional review architecture, the review of the regional architecture, is its centrality to delivering the 2050 strategy. Hence, it is critical that the regional architecture and system can effectively and efficiently deliver our vision and priorities embodied in the 2050 strategy for the Blue Pacific continent. Leaders also acknowledge that genuine and durable long-term partnerships is key to the realization of the 2050 strategy. Leaders agreed to work closely through a member-driven process to renew and reaffirm our partnership mechanism and dialogues. From Solomon Islands' perspective, we would like to see a more sovereign body emerge from the review.
He says underpinning the RRA is the focal point of delivering the 2050 strategy, adding that the 2050 strategy is the blueprint of the Pacific region's development.
On the 2050 strategy, Leaders acknowledge the 2050 strategy as the blueprint of our region's development aspirations. It will continue to be a key focus and is central to our collective efforts as the Pacific Islands Forum. Leaders have directed the establishment of implementation mechanisms that will oversee the implementation of the 2050 strategy. We have also endorsed the concept for the redesign of the Forum Partners Mechanism and directed our officials to work further on its elaboration in the coming months. Leaders also called on our partners to support and to align to this new partnership mechanism when it is implemented.
Miss Solomon Islands 2024 to 2025, Elsie Polisavai is now preparing towards the 2025 Miss Pacific Islands pageant. Eliza Kukutu reports.
Miss Solomon Islands 2024-2025 Elsie Polisavai is now preparing towards the 2025 Miss Pacific Islands pageant. Following her crowning last month, Polisavai has wasted no time in working with her team to make necessary arrangements for the prestigious event. Miss Polisavai will be returning to New Zealand for her graduation and will return before the pageant. Speaking to SIBC, Polisavai said preparations are on track.
And preparations we've already started, so we've already had our meetings. We've sit down and start for finalizing with the team members for the Miss Solomon team. And me being away on the other side, but I'm not stopping preparations. I'm still going to be involved heavily with preps, whether it be virtually or via email. And when we start thinking about when our theme is confirmed, then we'll think about how we're going to tie all our categories into the theme. But I'll be back early in December, right after graduation for me to continue preparations and stay ready for February.
Amidst preparations for the Miss Pacific Islands pageant, Polisavai assures that her advocacy on promoting agriculture for women's health still remains a priority.
I think I've sort of secured some good foundation work with them, story with them with a small organization and with a people network with people. So in terms of my networking and initiatives that me build from in my women's health advocacy, I think I'll be looking into smaller groups, so making work with other groups where helping me come up with them policies for subsidizing agricultural resources for the woman, especially in our rural communities, as 85% low you rely on cash crops, taro, cassava, and other calcium, and other women are heavily involved in every step below agriculture, now from planting, harvesting, so I sometimes have a thinking if we got any way for subsidizing seed or even tools or for the women in rural areas, so use them and produce mass crops. And we give them confidence too for making them slain and for families. Yeah.
Solomon Islands is set to host the Miss Pacific Islands pageant in Honiara next year. Pageant Director Joyce Conophilia assures of the government's support towards the event.
Yumi very lucky that government are assuring me that Batana support. So we are now working on all the operational programs and the budgets too, making him go in before Parliament sitting next month. So yeah, me happy that this first stage, yeah, but I'm light fala a little bit for me fala, because by government him step in and Batana really fund him this fala event. And with our technical skills, by me fala too, work hard for making everything come good. So yeah, thank you government for that for support, and especially DPM, I'm very supportive of this year. Yeah, we financing the prizes, even the live streaming, him to support, even the live band. So yeah, that's a very positive a step where one for lot leaders blame government him take him for supporting the pageant.
Eliza Kukutu for SIBC TV.
The Ministry of Finance, Foreign Affairs and the Office of the Prime Minister will soon submit a joint cabinet paper for the Solomon Islands hosting of the 54th Pacific Islands Leaders Forum. Prime Minister Honourable Jeremiah Manele told local media this is part of the country's preparations to host the prestigious regional event.
In terms of the actions for us to prepare for the 54th Forum Leaders Meeting, the Ministries of Foreign Affairs, Finance and the Office of the Prime Minister will soon submit a joint paper to Cabinet to consider the hosting arrangements of the 54th Leaders' Meeting next year. The paper will consider the establishment of a P54th meeting to be co-chaired by Foreign Affairs and OPMC with members drawn from other ministries, the private sector, churches and civil society, with the terms of reference to commence our preparatory planning work. The Pacific Islands Forum Leaders Meeting is the most regional meeting convened at the regional level each year. Our participation at this year's meeting was therefore important to ensure our priorities are safeguarded and that the region's priorities and actions are aligned to ensure they maximize our national development outcomes. The forum, as you know, provides an excellent platform to convene bilateral meetings with our development partners. And as I've said earlier, we took the opportunity to meet with a good number of our development partners as well as bilateral partners. Solomon Islands will continue to remain engaged with our partners, especially as we prepare for next year.
The National Annual Operational Planning and Budgeting Workshop 2025, conducted by the Ministry of Health, has identified challenges faced by provincial health centres that need to be addressed. Eliza Kukutu reports.
The National Annual Operational Planning and Budgeting Workshop conducted by the Ministry of Health last week has identified challenges faced by provincial health centres that needs to be addressed. Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Health, Pauline McNeil, said they have identified provinces that needs additional support to efficiently deliver services.
One of the highlights that we saw in our workshop is to critically look at the health indicators and which provinces are performing well and which provinces need to scale up. But we needed to provide additional support to those provinces who are not able to scale up their efforts to deliver their services. So I think the issues are the same. The budget envelope may differ, but we will continue to support, of course, with the partners that we've had over the many years. But we are also ensuring that the support that we receive is strategically invested in the sector, in the places where we think should improve on the health services, but at the same time improve on the health systems.
She adds budget constraints continues to be a challenge for the ministry in delivering its services.
When we are working on an environment where budget is very limited, where we have a budget that is deficient and we have budget pressures, it impacts on the services. We cannot deliver service if we don't have a budget that is linked to the service that we deliver. So when we have budget pressure, it also pressures our services to deliver. We work around the resources that we have, within the capacity that we have in terms of our HR and within the environment that we are able to deliver. I think these are crucial elements when we look at what is happening around us. And when we have a certain number of or a certain amount of budget that's allocated to us, the question that we have to ask is how can we use this to better deliver a service within the resources and capacity and the number of officers we have to deliver and within the environment that we work on. I think that's quite important.
For SIBC TV, I'm Eliza Kukutu.
Minister for Education and Human Resources Development, Honorable Tozen Leokana, has applauded 18 females who graduated from trade courses from the Australia Pacific Training Coalition, APTC. Sharon Anau with the details.
Minister for Education and Human Resource Development, Honorable Tozen Leokana, has applauded 18 females who graduated from trade courses from the Australia Pacific Training Coalition, APTC, last week. Speaking at the event, Minister Leokana says he is proud to see females excelling in male-dominated fields. He hopes their achievement can encourage other females to pursue similar careers.
Of the total of 154, 85 were women who have dedicated themselves to education and career growth through technical and vocational education and training, including 18 who have excelled in traditionally male-dominated fields such as construction and carpentry. I am delighted to note that the commitment and resilience that has been demonstrated by these 18 women to undertake these non-traditional construction courses and carpentry courses, and I commend you for your initial decision to select your career path. I am sure the participation of these women will inspire other girls and women in the country to take up trade courses and break barriers in TVET, especially in the trade areas normally dominated by the men or regarded as waka-bloda man.
Speaking to SIBC News, the only female carpentry graduate, Daisy Rodi, said she is happy to break the perception that only men can do carpentry work. She calls on women and girls to be strong-minded when pursuing their dreams.
For me, I'm bara fun straight, and I'm bara relate to mas too. Lot is the engineering background for me, and then I'm bara very helpful to mas. Like me actually got him now the skills. Actually got him the skills and knowledge for, like, mainly for building house. Yeah. So me woman, me no sa half of building house, or me say man no mas sa do, but this time me got him the skills for me sabe building a small house. You just go for your dreams, what you like what you like for doing. Mindset, play me no mas spoil me like how you let them people look like me, or make them look down on me, or things where no make help me progress. You have to be strong mind you, and then you need him support too from. As for me got him support from families, and then it's a program like it's open for everyone, for man got him paper or man or if you want women, maybe say that it's for the men only, this is but no. Me proof that for everyone, women, men, you sabe do him no makosa.
Sharon Nanau, SIBC TV.
The Guadalcanal provincial government is looking at reviving its partnership with the Canadian International Training and Education Corps CITREC program. Premier Willie Atu met with CITREC's chairman Ashwant Dwivedi recently to discuss the re-engagement of the program. Speaking to SIBC News, Premier Atu says they are looking at expanding the program to include the provision of scholarships for students.
The program was suspended. I think about we owe CITREC some money, and so it's an opportunity for us to repay CITREC and hopefully start more. I think by later this year, by Premier with them delegation member go back to Canada, for story with them CITREC more, an opportunity for expanding this for awesome involvement scholarship too for students from Guadalcanal for go study in Canada. Other like people with them skills, skills also side law carpentry, side law welding, side law awesome kind skills also. So and also the lacking people were by the local old people's home also. And those skills also other give it in a sense, make it in a sense that once you got in those skills and you accepted, you'll automatically become a resident of Canada. So at minimum, it's a better opportunity compared to the past where you go stop us some years and then you become a resident.
He adds they are also exploring opportunities to export local products to the Canadian market.
Like for some, like taro and cassava too, tapioca. So we were looking at that opportunity as well. But one Amical province for needing for doing now is that Maple Garden was an economic arm of province too. Maple call him Guadalcanal Province Investment Company Limited. So Maple thinking was in that economic arm of province now for taking on this responsibility and for deal with them other communities. So
for us helping mother manlo home suppose also producing tapioca and taro for sub export.
And that's news. Follow us on sibconline.com.sb and our SIBC News Facebook page for more of our latest stories. Thanks for watching.